through the A for an incredible score. That would have been absolutely enormous. And Dave responds instantly with his play of Selenas and Goths. Wow, okay, that was a lot of action. Sumbul, your thoughts on that sequence?
It's so quick that by the time you realize what's just happened, oh, here you go with the X now.
Yes.
It's just so hard to keep up. So, no, I think that was a good move. What would you have done? Would you have played the Z and scored and then
I think Jaravai's there just scores too many points. I would have considered just playing the Z by itself in that spot if Jaravai's didn't also put it in a really, really heavy scoring spot, right? So the V and the Z of that bingo through the A were going to be on premium scores and doubled the entire word. So it was going to score something like 110 points in that spot. So really huge opportunity there that would have helped Fern keep pace with Dave, because we know obviously now that he had the second blank on his rack. So she needed every point she could get there. So as it is, Dave is holding on to a little bit more than a 50-point lead. This board is very, very closed, and you can see Fern's rack right now. The red tiles belonging to Fern, the blue belonging to Dave. She's got a ton of vowels and no good place to play it. So not what she needs right now as she's looking to keep pace in this game.
Yeah, that's true.
So, back over to Dave. I'm sure he's happy to see Fern exchange. This board, as it's currently constituted, very, very poor opportunities to bingo. There's almost nowhere to do it. Instead, so he plays Blonde just to use up the B and W, not the greatest tiles. And potentially he's looking to just create a board that eventually has no bingo opportunities at all.
You have a 7 here, but I don't think it goes down.
Yeah, so this is a great example. So as Sumbul says, what are the 7s that you see here, if you see them?
Do you see a few of them? Of course, Pouters. And,
Pouters or posture. Spouter and Posture, and there's even a bunch more. But you can see when Scrabble players talk about boards being open and closed, a lot of what that means is, are there places to play 7 and 8 letter words on the board? So with that rack, for Dave, he had a ton of 7-letter words on the board, but instead he has to play Poet because the board is really closed. You can't play down here. There's no words that go there. It's very difficult to play words ending in M. There's nowhere else to play a 7-letter word hooking an S onto a word. So from Dave's perspective, that's totally fine because he's the one with the lead. He doesn't mind that the board is closed, but from Fern's perspective, that is a big, big problem that's going to prevent her from making a big comeback in this game. There's just really nowhere for her to play bingos because the board is so closed. So the game is winding down here. Dave holding on to a pretty solid lead. Fern with a D, 3 E's, an I, an N, and a U that's just not going to mesh well enough with this M of Mama. She needed to draw something that played on the top row ending in M. So she plays Dig. Dave immediately plays Risp to the P of Poet, and that's it. It's a win for Dave Koenig that he badly needs. Well done to Dave. So his fan base there was asking for Dave, and they got to see a great win for him as he keeps his hopes alive here.
I think we had a request from Natalie to watch Ahmed Khan and Ali Rashid Khan in the last game as well. However, we can watch Ali as well because he's a upcoming and I would say a very good player from Pakistan. I know him personally as well. We have been friends for a very long time. So yeah, it would be good to watch him.
Absolutely. So we're saying here that these are 2 strong young players as well facing off in the same game. That's great. I'm guessing that the player with the screen name of Ali is probably Ali and fasting is Ahmed.
Yeah, actually, Ahmed is from UK.
Gotcha.
He is. I do know him. If I'm not wrong, I think he's a doctor, and I've met him. I think the first time I met him was at the UK Open tournament. And yeah, he's a pretty strong player as well.
Gotcha. Well, this is a really, really tight game. There's definitely something weird. Okay, I think the timers are now being set correctly. I was seeing an issue where Ahmed had over a minute left in overtime, which we know is not possible. Yeah. But this is a really, really tight game back and forth. Oh, wow. Okay, that was a crazy play. Amazing. So a really, really impressive play under time pressure by Ali. He plays goes, knowing that his opponent, Ahmed, has no vowels. So he's setting up a spot for himself to play egos on his next turn that is very, very difficult to block. Wow.
There you go.
Great play. So maybe pretty much the only play that blocked up there, that blocked that E, would have been to play something like Jim, right? He could have played Jim there, but even that isn't really enough to win. It doesn't score enough points. So that was a very, very clever play by Ali to finish off that game. So glad we could check in with that one. Close matchup between an up-and-coming young player and a strong UK player. Let's see. Other games. These games have finished very quickly, so we do have a chance to potentially watch some other games between some of the top players. This a game between Wale Fashina and Dan Sandhu that it looks like Dan is going to hand Wale his first loss of the tournament. So I think going into that round, there were only a couple players that had yet to lose a game. Wale was the last remaining undefeated player because previously the two 6-0 players played with Wale coming out on top. So Wale, the only undefeated player, has just lost. So that's great news for everybody else. It tightens the standings up quite a lot.
And we have 2 more games before we do the playoffs, so I think this is going to get so exciting.
It's going to be right down to the wire, and the next games are coming quick. So we're headed into round 9 imminently. Let's just cut quickly back to the standings and see where we stand here. Let me try to cut off this top part of the screen that I don't think we really need. There we go. That's better. So now we can sort of make everything just a bit bigger. Actually, let me get some of the bottom of the screen. No, that's as much as we have. Okay, so now hopefully that's a little bit more readable for people. So you can see Wale was at 7-0 going into that round, but he did just lose to Dan Sandhu. So there will be no more undefeated players after round 8. So that's going to tighten things up. And it looks like most of the players have completed their round 8 games. So very, very packed at the top. Lots of players still with winning chances, especially after Wale's loss in his previous round. So let us have a look at whether the pairings are up or not. Let's see. Not just yet. So we can continue to look at the overall standings here. Let's see. So yeah, there we go. So looking down the standings list a little bit, you can see some of the players that had a loss early have sort of fought their way back into contention. We saw Conrad Bassett-Bouchard lose to Craig Beavers in the very first game, but there he is in 6th place. Not sure whether he just won his last game, but if he did, he'll be right in the thick of things with 2 rounds to go. Yeah, do you have any takeaways looking at the standings, Sumbul, here?
No, like I said earlier on, I think it's going to get down to the wire. You can see a lot of people on 5 wins. So I think if they win their next 2 games, it might end up in the top 4, top 5. So it's gonna be interesting. I just want to see. I don't want to put any bets right now, but I just want to see who's gonna get to the top.
Yeah, I would have no idea where to put my money right now. There's too many players, all of whom have really good chances. Obviously, these standings are lagging a little bit behind because a lot of the round 8 results have yet to be entered into the system. So when we see those results come in, maybe it's better actually to go to the enhanced scoreboard because a lot of those results are likely going to be entered as soon as the directors get their hands on them.
I think Wasim has gone down as well. He was up in the green and now he's gone down to number 10.
Yes, I see that.
But
we can actually take a look at some of these players if people are wondering how all of the players performed in their previous game. It looks like Wasim defeated Alec Seaholm in round 8, so that's going to set Alec back, who's in 4th place. So that's going to be a good win for Wasim to vault his way back into things. Let's see. It looks like Odette lost to Adegboyega. Okay, here come some results. So here you can see some of those results being entered and the standings changing along with that. So Wale loses his first game. Adegboyega continues his just run through this event. We haven't seen him play very much on the stream. I think I'd like to watch him depending on who he's playing. That would be a lot of fun. It's always interesting and fun when a new player that you don't expect comes on and really strong in the standings. So we'll definitely keep an eye on him going forward for sure. Craig Beavers still holding strong in 5th place. It looks like he just defeated Wasiu Hassan. Another name I actually do not recognize.
I actually don't have a clue as well. One of the top players I can see making his way up is Olaya Kabir.
Yeah, Olaya Kabir is very strong. What are your impressions of Olaya?
I have seen him playing at the Alpha tournament, which we used to have before COVID, of course, and he is a top player. Like, I've seen few of his games, and the way he does it, his strategy, his thinking, his word knowledge is just amazing.
Yes, and there was a notable online game that Olaya played recently where he literally played his entire game with vertical moves. So every single move that he played. So if we just cut to like a random board, you can see, right, if you look at the different colors of the tiles, the blue and the red that correspond to each player. So for the red, you see here is a vertical play and here is a horizontal play, right? Actually, most of the plays here are horizontal. There's at least one vertical play. For Wale, you see here's a horizontal play, here's a vertical play. It's very, very rare, and Olaya achieved this feat of playing an entire game using only vertical words, which you don't see that every day. And actually, I remember watching that game, and he played great in that game. It just so happened that all of his moves, his really good moves, were vertical. So that's fun, a rare situation. So getting word that there's going to be just a slight pause as we get all the results from round 8 in until we get to round 9 and determine the pairings, which are going to be very critical. Obviously, the players a lot of the results are yet to come in. When we get those results, we'll have a much better idea of who stands a really good chance of winning 2 games in rounds 9 and 10 and forcing their way into the playoff round, which let's talk a little bit about that. So the playoff that's going to follow the 10-round main event it could be as many as 4 players. It might not be necessary at all if one of the players is fully clear of the field. If there's a player that has more wins than every other player, we will not move to a playoff. But if we have any number of players, at least I believe that's true. So I can be corrected if I'm wrong.
I think you're correct.
But I believe that's how it's going to work. And if there are multiple players that have the same number of wins, then we're going to move to a playoff format with as many as 4 players if they all have the same number of wins. Okay, you see the results coming in, a lot of the portraits changing positions. So now we have an accurate picture of the standings after round 8. You can see we knew the top 2 players already were going to be Adegboyega Akintokun and Wale Fashina, the only 2 players with 7 wins, but Conrad Bassett-Bouchard has won his previous game. Olaya Kabir wins his previous game. A lot of strong players lurking right behind at 6 and 2. So this is where we do have to think about the spread sort of mattering a little bit. I guess it's not going to matter a ton. if we're going to do the playoffs simply based on raw number of wins. But if there are more than 4 players tied at the same number of wins, then the spread, that plus number that you see next to everybody's name, is going to start to matter. That's going to be used to tie break in the event of more than 4 players with the same number of wins. Any thoughts on the playoff, what we can expect from the playoff format, Sumbul?
No, I think I probably know as much as you do. But there is someone just posted something very interesting on the Twitch chat, which is Adeg Boya. He's a 13-year-old, and I'm just blown away. Wow, he won the maths contest. When was it? I'm just trying to find the date out. On 3rd July 2014. So, wow. Another young person here who's doing fabulously at a virtual tournament online. Wow.
That is awesome. 13 years old, potentially a rising star at this rate. To see a player like that just come on. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I think he should be about 17, 18 by now. I'm not really sure. But,
okay. So he won a big youth event when he was 13? I see. I understand. So he's still a very young, up-and-coming player in that case. Wow, that is really cool. 18, 19, That's awesome. And a lot of the time, these are the sorts of events where you see younger players sort of announce themselves to the world because, when you're young, it's a little bit harder to travel overseas and play in the Worlds and stuff like that. So this is a great opportunity for a young, up-and-coming player to sort of mingle with some other really established, excellent players, which if you just look up and down these top 12, I pretty much recognize every single one of them as a really established, strong player from their respective countries, which is not too surprising. I was actually thrilled when I saw that all of these players were competing in this event because I knew it was going to mean great Scrabble for the two of us to watch and comment on.
Oh yes.
So yeah, we'll see. We will. We're getting updates that the pairings are just in the process of being created. They've just gotten all the results entered into the system. So we'll be eager to see who plays who. I'd love to watch Adeg Boyega. I think that's a really compelling story. So I can't wait to see who he plays, and that's going to be a really fun game for us to watch in round 9. I think.
Yes.
So if anybody else has any requests, we can certainly continue to hear them. But obviously, we're getting into crunch time now. We definitely want to prioritize these critical matchups that are going to determine who makes the playoff, if there even needs to be one. So feel free to keep suggesting matchups that you guys would like to see as we continue to just bide our time.
Yes. Yes. He was 13 years old in 2014, so he should be about 19, 20, 21.
Oh, okay. So that was a while back. So yeah. Even then, when you're, 13 years old in relatively recent history still means that you are a relatively young player, no matter what, no matter when that was. Getting word that the last few results are coming into the system now. I'm sure that there was some effort to sort of prioritize the games that were in the top group just so that we could have a better understanding of the overall picture of the event. Let's pop over to the full standings and just see what we're looking at. Just all the way down. So let me see here. So you can see that Adeg Boyega sitting atop a very, very strong group. And then as we go down, we have the players, the top 12 that we'd already seen. And then just out of the top 12, we see Brian Bowman, who we watched earlier, Anand, who we watched earlier, Russell Honeybun, a very strong player. We haven't seen him on the stream, but he is still sort of in that top group. But obviously things go far. There's lots and lots of players still competing. It looks like roughly 60 players still in the event. It's no surprise. I mean, sometimes you get players that are interested in trying out a Scrabble tournament, but then realize maybe midway through, what have I gotten myself into? But we still have 60 players here, and pairings are up for the next round. So let's have a look. I think maybe if we just go to the enhanced scoreboard, that might help. So here we have, okay, I think we definitely should watch Adegboyega versus Olaya Kabir. That should be a great, great matchup. Let me just make sure we don't miss too much of that game. It has not started yet. So that's going to be a great one for us. Let's get ready for that game to begin. This is round 9. The standings very, very tight. I think we're set to watch our top player so far in the standings, Adegboyega versus Olaya, as soon as that game gets underway. Yes, I'm excited for that game. Your thoughts, Sumbul, on this upcoming round?
I think I'm definitely excited to watch Olaya Kabir and Adegboyega, because that's what we have been talking about lately. And I cannot see any other request on Twitch, or my chat has just stopped working. I don't know what's going on, but for now, I think people would be happy with this.
Yes, I think this would be very popular. Sometimes I like to do polls to ask people what they'd like to see, but I knew that this event was going to be so fast. It's going to be running so quickly that there would just be no real time to do that, and we would just have to sort of pick games based on individual requests for a little while, and then just pick the game that makes the most sense, which this one makes a ton of sense, between a really, really strong player and the top player in the standings. And here we are. Let's watch Adegboyega on the top in the blue tiles, Fems 001, and Olaya Kabir, Black Knight, on the right with the red tiles. So we're catching this game right from the get-go. And a lot of power on this rack here. And Zax does go down, which I think totally makes sense. And we're going to see Gaudier go down very quickly in response by Olaya, forming the two-letter word Zay. We're going to see that go right here, I would expect. There it is. Okay, so a nice start to the game. Looks like both players making strong plays to begin. Adegboyega with kind of in-between rack. It sort of might have some bingo potential, but also the F and the U and the C together don't really play that well. Yeah. I could imagine some plays just under there, like Fee. There it is. Okay, so almost as quickly as I could put it on the board. The play that I was thinking was played for 42 points. That's a great underlap. It did use both E's. I think that's fine, given that he had a bunch of other vowels. But Sumbul, what would you think about using that second E there? Do you think that was worth it?
I think I personally love my E's. At least like one of them on my rack is like necessary for me to make words. So I wouldn't personally play that, but might be a better move than what I'm seeing. So
yeah, it's definitely, the reason I ask is I don't think it's cut and dried what to do there. I think it's really close. So obviously it scores more points to use the second E, but we Scrabble players love the letter E. It's just the best vowel by far for playing bingos and even scoring really nicely with some of your less useful consonants. So the E's are always a great starting point, a great vowel to start your next rack with. So it's one of those gives and takes where if I use my second E, it better be for a solid score to warrant giving that valuable letter up. So that was close. Yeah. I think it's fine to play it there. I think it's really, really close. But you could imagine many players keeping the E there, that second one.
I would personally keep the E. So
yeah, in a game that's going this quickly, really the best thing you can do is just pick one of those two plays and play it fast. So that was good that he did that. Or that Adegboyega did, rather. So, okay, a couple plays go down. So we see Olaya plays Nab, and then Adegboyega plays Coven, a nice way to use up his C and V, and Olaya responding with just a vowel dump right there. That's a little bit dangerous because it opens up a triple lane, but it also scores 19 points, which is a great score for just two vowels.
And
And okay, yeah, what's happening here? I thought you were about to. So yeah, basically what happened there was Adegboyega opening the board up with a nice play of pole, but Olaya with just the right rack to respond, and he plays Sollard for 82 points, hitting both double word scores at one go. Yeah. So that scores a lot of points, and that's going to put Olaya up. He's gotten 2 bingos now to none for Adegboyega, but it's still early yet. We just keep saying it, Sumbul, how these early deficits end up not being as insurmountable as you might expect.
That's a good move, yeah.
Curing, yeah. So that was a nice play there. No bingos available, I don't think, for Adegboyega. Instead, he decides to score a pretty solid amount, playing to the triple in the lower left corner. We'll see what he draws afterwards. So it's back over to Olaya. He has a narrow lead. He's going to be up a little bit more than 35, 36 points. He's up after his next move, but he has to be very careful to try and score as many points as he can in a way that doesn't give Adegboyega great opportunities in response, which is easier said than done. That looks like a great way to accomplish that goal, playing Kobo there.
That is a very good move.
What do you think about that move?
No, that is a very good move. I was actually thinking of something like connecting OK as well, because that's one word I like to play since it's okay now to okay play.
That's
okay.
Right, yeah. So you're thinking of playing it next to Sollard, the K in this spot here. Yeah, that would have been interesting. There were definitely plays available that accomplished that. Like he could have played hook or book in that spot for maybe a point or two more. But instead, by playing Kobo, what he's done is blocking this D of Sollard, and he gives up a potential S hook here. But that's okay, given that really that's the only threat available on the resulting board after Kobo. Any play in this spot might have scored a few more points, but it gives back another column as a bingo threat, whereas true. Kobo does not do that at all. So already Adegboyega is in a little bit of time trouble here. Oh, wow. After a long think, he plays Talak, and wow, very quickly, Quim in response for 45. So after a lot of thinking there, we see two quick plays be played, both involving the Q. And that's obviously, Olaya doesn't love to see Adegboyega score 61 points with his Q there, but that's a decent exchange for him on the whole. It wasn't a disaster because he had a great Q play in response. So, all right, Adegboyega plays a U. That gets rid of his Y and creates a bingo lane for him to potentially play a little bit more flexibly than some of the ones that exist on the board already. Boy, this is close. Prairies doesn't quite fit on the board. Apiaries, there's bingos with this rack, but they don't quite fit on this board. So Olaya his lead is not so big. Oh, wow. Okay, so a quick fish of the eye. Fish, one of the terms that you're seeing in my little image carousel of key terms. That was because Adegboyega had really good bingo tiles, but there was no spot to play a bingo, so instead he plays just high, creating another lane for himself to play with a couple other good spots available, holding that S. And now I think that was okay. What do you think, Sumbul?
I was just about to say that Olaya is going to defend that now, definitely.
That's right, yes. So an apt term by Sumbul there. He's going to defend, and sure enough, he does by playing the word defends. He plays it with Kobos, which there were other options you could have taken there. So assessing the value of all the different spots where bingos were playable on this board, there was only an S that would have played with Kobos. A lot of things would play ending and hooking LA, but a very large number of things would play in this spot, hooking high. So I wonder if it... Oh, wow. Okay, so Olaya opts to play defends and kobos instead of other places where he might have played. That's an interesting decision in its own right. But then Adegboyega was able to hit a bingo from the G of Grapiest for 92. That's a huge play. And from Olaya's perspective, now things are getting scary because there are still 2 good spots to play bingos on the board that can't really both be blocked here. And his tiles of A, D, J, N, U, W, W are so poor. So this is a big opportunity here for Adegboyega as Olaya is struggling.
Were they scared of opening the triple letter word? That's what I would think.
That's very true. That's definitely a scary thing about blocking this area. There's almost no way to do it without opening triple lanes in multiple directions. So this is touch and go here for Olaya Kabir.
Ooh,
Black Knight in the red. His tiles are red. Adegboyega in the blue.
Ooh, wow.
Okay, so very interesting. A nice scoring play there of Undrew for 43. That is a really, really nice play. It puts Olaya up by a ton of points, but it does create a little bit of a scary spot here. It creates 2 places now where if... Okay, so instead... Oh, that's interesting. I think that must have been a time thing because I think it would have done Adegboyega much better to leave this spot completely open and try to fish for a word that spans both triple word scores or maybe another word that plays down there. Instead, by playing Timis, he's basically just conceded the game. So that could have just been sort of a time thing. He may not have been aware of the amount of tiles left in the bag. There's a couple different explanations for that.
Yeah, I think also ending a 8-letter word with a U as a second last letter can be a bit tricky at times, especially when you don't have the time to think about it.
For sure, that's absolutely true. I just wonder if there wasn't a word available to be fished for that ended in OUS or something like that, like Timis, but maybe something a little bit longer. Okay, so either way, this game is headed towards a win for Olaya Kabir for sure. Our young star on the scene, Adegboyega, is going to drop this game to Olaya, so that does make the other matchup between, if we just wait for this game to reach its official conclusion, we can pop back over to the standings and see how some of the other games finish up. Okay, so Adegboyega plays Tins on top of Kovin to end the game right here, and that's it. So nice win there for Olaya Kabir. As we cut back to our standings screen, so you can see our first place player has just lost. And just getting a quick, as I look at the standings, it looks like Conrad Bassett Bouchard has defeated Wale Fashina. So that's a huge win for him. You see right there the portraits just switching. So Conrad, who lost the very first game we watched on stream in round 1 to Craig Beavers, appears to have won basically every other game except for one that he's played since that time. And he has vaulted very firmly into not only second place, but once the Adegboyega Akinto-kun result is entered, Conrad is going to be in first place.
Wow.
Not only that, Dave Koenig, who had been sort of down in the thick of the standings earlier, has also won his last several games, and he's going to be in second place. So 2 strong American players right at the top. And then Adegboyega obviously is still going to be right in the thick of it at 7-2, while Fashina as well, still right there. So it's going to be very tight going into this last round. It's round 10. It's been quite a ride to get to this point in just a few short hours here.
Definitely, and
I'm just going to get this ready. Well. Yeah, Sumbul, your thoughts on any of this?
No, wow, it's just like I'm completely blown away. I'm still looking at the results coming in, and few of the games on ISC. I'm trying to find if anyone's still playing, because we don't have the results yet. But yeah, like I said, Dave made his way back up. We haven't seen him in the top 5 for a while, and here he is now on number 3. Seems like we are going to have playoffs because there are a lot of people on 7 wins at this point. So fingers crossed, it's just getting more exciting. And yeah, wow.
Yeah, I think it's for sure. It's almost guaranteed, as you said, given that there will be so many players with 7 wins now. If all of those players with 7 wins get paired together, there's going to be a bunch of players at the end with 8 by necessity. So it's looking like we are headed towards a situation where some number of players between 2 and probably 3 or 4 at least end up with 8 wins going into the playoff, and then we'll just have to see how it goes down from there. Very, very exciting. I know that lots of the results are still yet to come in. I think everybody that's on my list of players to watch has finished their game. So I know you said that you were looking for games that were still in progress, but I think round 9 has basically wrapped up, and the players are going to be, those last few results are going to be entered in, and we'll figure out who's playing who in the last game. I can see, just looking at the chat channel on our Scrabble platform, that there are still plenty of results being entered into the system. Now you see a few more results coming in. So Olaya's victory, propelling him up into the 7-2 level. Wasim is back at 7-2. I know that he had dropped off the top 12, but it looks like Wasim has fought his way back into the top group. Alex Seaholm versus Craig Beavers. That is, I will tell you the result of that game now. It looks like that game went to Craig. So that's a big win for Craig, as he will move up into the 7-2 level as well. So what we're looking at is 7 players will have 7 wins going into the final round. So there will be, assuming all of those players get paired together, as I'm sure they should, that means we will have a minimum of 3 and potentially 4 players with 8 wins going into the playoff. So that's going to be very, very exciting. Looking forward to that. So yeah, let's see. Final results coming in, and round 10 will be paired soon. So the individual playoff formats are going to be different depending on how many players are involved in the playoff. I think with all 4 players in the playoff, it will be a simple bracket. It will be between the 4 players in the playoff. Player number 1 plays player number 4. Player number 2 plays player number 3, and the winners face off for the title in the final game. If there are 3 players in the playoff, I know that Chris Harrison, the event organizer, had explained it to me before. Let me see. I know he has told me, but I'm forgetting the exact. He told me exactly what it was. If there are 3 players, we will do player 3 versus player 2, and then player 3 versus player 1. So basically, the 3 players will each play each other 1 time, and if after those 3 games the players are still tied, the spread will determine the winner. So basically, I think in either case, we're going to get a lot of really exciting Scrabble.
We will. That's the best part about it, isn't it?
Yes. And Sumbul, just if you pop your mic back up just a little bit.
Sorry, guys.
Yes, there you go. So, yes. Very funny. Funny comment from poor Cesar in the chat where he says, who misses 1-time natural to open, let alone thinking, oh, that's zone time with a Z. Oh, no, that hurts. I'm so sorry to hear. It seems like a bit of a snafu. But again, as we've been saying this whole time, it really is a lot of, mostly a function of, we are playing at such a fast pace that basically as soon as the game starts, your brain is already into overdrive mode where you can't take that extra minute with a rack that you know you would find a bingo that's there. You have to play. You have to play as fast as you can. And when you're in those situations, it's going to lead to errors that you wouldn't normally make. So it's, that's the trade-off, I guess. You have to be content with not playing your absolute best Scrabble and just getting through each game if you can. It makes me very happy that I'm sitting here talking about the games instead of playing them myself.
I actually have a question for you, because you are one of the top players in the world. So do you feel nervous? I actually asked this to Nigel as well. Like, I feel very nervous, especially at the end of the game.
Well, yeah, so obviously it's very, very difficult for me to compare myself to Nigel. There was a tournament where I played Nigel Richards, and if anybody's watching that is coming from other games or isn't as familiar with Scrabble, there is a player not competing in this event. He doesn't really play online very much at all. In fact, he doesn't play at all online. But the best Scrabble player in the world is an amazing guy named Nigel Richards. And not only is he the best player, but he's also just a very, very nice, friendly guy. But it seems like he just truly does not care whether he wins or loses an individual game. It's the craziest thing. Exactly. Most of us are worried and nervous because we want to play our best and we're hoping that we win each game, but it seems like he's reached some sort of transcendent plane where he just likes to play and doesn't care, and he doesn't get nervous. There was a tournament where I had to play Nigel a number of times in a row, and I just remember after each game that we played, I had to get up and pace around and walk around the room, go take a restroom break, and he just sat at the table the entire time. He didn't budge. He did not move from the table, and he looked as calm, as cool as a cucumber the entire time. And it's just amazing. Not only is his Scrabble ability just unbelievable, but his emotional control, which is so important in this game, because Scrabble can be very cruel sometimes. So you have to have very good emotional control in this game to handle the swings of luck and the nerves that happen. So basically, my answer to you is I absolutely do get nervous, but you should not think about me in the same breath as Nigel Richards, who does not seem to have the same instincts about this game as most of the rest of us do.
I think when I spoke to Nigel about it after the World Championship in 2019 or the MSI tournament, it was like, do you get nervous, Nigel? And he went like, no, it's just a game. Why would it bother me? I was like, wow. To be honest, I have seen this in Imad as well, the young player from Pakistan. He's very calm. His nerves are like probably his advantage. He is very calm. No matter what you do, his face expressions won't change. And that's probably why he's such a talented player.
That is true. And while I did just admit that I do get nervous at times, I do think that I have a good attitude with respect to winning and losing games. I don't have as good of an attitude with respect to playing badly. Like if I make a big mistake in a game, I get frustrated with myself for doing that. But if I play mostly okay by my standards and I lose a game, it really doesn't bother me that much. And I think that is the only healthy attitude that you can have in Scrabble, because if you are, sweating the outcome of each game, whether you're winning or losing, it's going to be frustrating. There are going to be times as any player, no matter what your skill level is, where you're playing somebody that you're more experienced than and that you should probably beat, and you lose to that person. And if you feel that that's unfair, or if that annoys you or that hurts your sensibilities, Scrabble might not be the right game for you, because that's going to happen a lot. So basically, each game for me, and I'm sure for Imad, as you were talking, great up-and-coming Pakistani player, and surely for Nigel, each game is simply a test of how well can I solve the puzzles that are put before me in this game. Yeah. And whether or not you end up with more points than your opponent is secondary to that. It is basically a puzzle solving game, win or lose. There are great, interesting puzzles in every game, even ones where you're getting destroyed by an opponent that's bingoed 3 times to start a game. And that is really, to me, the healthiest way to approach any Scrabble tournament, any individual Scrabble game. All right, so with that Zen proclamation of how you should approach a game of Scrabble, now let's get back into that mode where we really want to see who wins the games.
Let's do this.
The pairings are up. So I think it would be a lot of fun to watch Conrad versus Adegboyega. We watched Conrad in round 1. And we've seen him fight his way back to the top of the standings. And basically he's in a situation where all of these 7-2 games between Conrad and Adegboyega, between Dave Koenig and Olaya Kabir, and between Wale Fashina and Wasim Khatri, the winners of those 3 games will make the playoffs, and the losers will lose out. So each of those 3 are critical. The game with Conrad has just begun. Let's get going, and Conrad is, I'm sure, not very excited to see this opening rack. You see Conrad with his anagram of his name, Dakron, versus Adegboyega, Fems001. Conrad with 7 consonants to start, exchanging 4 of them right away, which looks like absolutely correct choice for him.
I see a 5 here. I think a very...
Yeah, I think Exene or Nixie or one of those plays is likely to be the choice here for Adegboyega. We'll see what he elects to do, and we'll see what Conrad drew, of course. Let's see if we can... There. So it's taking... This is taking a surprisingly long time for Adegboyega to play this. I'm wondering why he hasn't played one of those words. I think maybe he's looking for a play that hits the X on the double letter score, but I don't think plays like that are available. So I'm questioning why it is that he's taken over a minute on this play. He really could end up regretting that soon. With only 5 minutes available to you in a game, and this situation I think is very, very close between Nixie and Exene.
Yeah.
Really need to... okay. It says he's lost contact or quit. Oh, no. Ooh. Okay, so some kind of an issue with his internet at exactly the wrong time for him.
Ouch.
That's frustrating.
That is very frustrating.
So not sure what's going on. Hopefully he can get back on and playing very soon. Let's just see while we wait. We can just pop into a couple of the other games that are really, really critical. Yeah. So you can see this is a game between Wasim Khatri and Wale Fashina, another one of our win and into the playoffs games. And you can see it is tied at 122 in the early going.
Ooh, wow.
So let's see what's happened with... Oh, okay. So it looks like the timer, something happened with Adegboyega's internet that he has his full time still. Okay, and there goes Exene as we expected. So I'm sure that was just an internet issue on Adegboyega's end, and he still has most of his time left. So Exene does go down quickly, as we would have expected that it would. Conrad responding with Ritz for 33 with his Z. Vowel heavy rack in response for Adegboyega. Obviously, well, not obviously. This is sort of a tricky hook. There is an R hook to Exene. So we saw Conrad play off his R there, but Adegboyega has an R of his own. Okay, and it's mostly been blocked with Uri there. So really, really nice vowel dump here for Adegboyega, scoring 22 points with all of those vowels and leaving his R left over if he hits something to go down with Rexine. So we'll see if that spot ends up mattering.
I think this is one of those racks, isn't it, where you feel like, again, you have something, but Nah, I don't think so.
Exactly.
You have
Yes,
anything.
it's so close. Yeah, it looks so good, but there isn't quite anything. And this is one of those racks also that sort of underscores how important the E is. We were talking earlier about the E being such a helpful tile to bingo with, but a lot of these racks that have 1 point tiles but no E in them can be very frustrating because that E is the best vowel. There are the most 7 and 8 letter words with E compared to any other vowel. So sometimes those racks that don't have E's in them are very frustrating for that reason. Conrad playing lose. Oh, wow.
Ooh,
So
wow.
Conrad with a blocking play of lose. He blocks the R hook of Rexine from going all the way down. But Adegboyega plays RE to open up a lane, and Conrad is going to, well, it's not clear that he's going to play a bingo in this spot, but he's definitely bingoing here with a rack of ANOSTT blank. The only question is, where will he elect to play? So this is going to be interesting. There's not a ton of time, obviously, to think about where to put these bingos. Conrad plays Station and Rexines, and Adegboyega is going to respond at the very least with something like Inlander through the N. I'm not sure what else there is, but at least there's that. The issue for Adegboyega, if that is indeed the only bingo available, I'm not sure. But if so, if Inlander through the N of Station is the only available bingo, that creates 2 huge potential scoring plays. So there it is. Inlander is played. And oh man, Agiotage. There's a bunch of bingos with the rack that Conrad drew that do not quite bingo on this board, I don't think. So instead, Conrad plays Gigot to there. I think I remember that as a disease of sheep, as the definition of that. Just a quick note on definitions. Definitions not really that widely relevant to Scrabble players at this level. We only have so much brain space available, and basically we devote as much of it as possible to learning what words are in the dictionary as opposed to what they all mean. It's better if you know what they all mean. Sumbul, do you have any thoughts on definitions in Scrabble?
I think this is one question that always embarrasses me, because every time I go to promote Scrabble or go anywhere, and let's say I go to a school and the first thing they ask me, oh, do the kids learn definition and it improves their vocabulary? And I go like, yeah, like in most cases you don't. So I think that's one of those things. I personally don't, and sometimes I look at them, but I don't like memorize them. It's good to know words and I like knowing words, but yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, it's that's tricky because we would love to be able to say that Scrabble is just a great game for adding vocabulary and learning words, but actually it is a great game, but it's more for learning math and geometry and spatial relationships. You also do learn a lot of words along the way, but actually you don't necessarily need to know the definition of the words to play great Scrabble, but you need to have great understanding of geometry, probability, and mathematics. Those are required to be a great Scrabble player. The definitions aren't. So that's kind of, it runs counter to what people would think. Oh no, it looks like another internet issue with Adegboyega in this game, which is too bad. So let's check in with a couple of the other games. So we know that the game between Olaya Kabir and Dave Koenig is also a very important game. Oh, wow. And it looks like Olaya is up huge in this game. Black Knight in the blue tiles versus DEWK in the red. This game is going to go Olaya's favor. He's up by well over 100. So Olaya Kabir will be a part of the playoffs. We know that now. As we cut back to Wale Fashina. Wale Fashina playing Wasim Khatri, and this game is going down to the wire. It's very close. Oh, wow. In Seeds and Slur is about to be played. Oh my god. A huge play, leaving Wale Fashina with a Q, an X, and a Y on his rack, and he's not going to be able to play all three of those. He will be able to score well with at least one of those three power tiles that he has, but he has too many left over. And Wasim is going to go out with his O on his next turn for at least 9 points in this spot here. Maybe there's more somewhere else. Oh my gosh, this looks like an incredibly exciting ending. If we just stick with this. Also, you notice that Wale is down to 2 seconds on his clock. He's got to play or he's going to lose 10 points. And he loses the 10 points. So playing O, and he makes a big spot to play the O. So it looks like Wasim sneaks ahead of Wale. Incredibly exciting ending to that game. Okay, so let's pop back over to this game. Oh wow, Yardland was played by Adegboyega through the N of Inlander. That is a very, very impressive bingo. So that puts Conrad in some trouble because Conrad plays Mayo. Oh man. Okay, we're catching back up on what's happened in this game. It looks like I'm not sure if this time is correct for Adegboyega.
I think when he went off, it didn't reset. It's just continued.
Okay, let me re-observe then and see. Let me just unobserve and try to cut back into this game and see if it's correct. Boy, I'm still seeing only 34 seconds left for Adegboyega, so he has to be very, very careful. Conrad still with 2 minutes and 2 minutes remaining. So that's a lot of time. He can really push Adegboyega, who I'm not sure if he's having a lot of internet issues or what, but he is up in this game. So he is in pretty good shape. Conrad has to try to figure out a way with his tiles to threaten some kind of bingo opportunities for himself. This is a very, very tricky situation. There's still a blank unseen, which could weigh really heavily on the outcome of this game. You can see that at the bottom of your screen, the tiles left. You can see unseen tiles include the J, a Q and 2 U's, and 2 S's and a blank. So a lot of the power tiles are still yet to be drawn. So that's helpful to Conrad as he weighs his move here. I don't see a standout move in this situation for him, unfortunately. I wonder what he'll elect to do. Tricky. So this H of Hive and this I of Hive are pretty open to use for bingos, but I'm pretty sure that Adegboyega will do anything he can to block this area of the board as good of a blocking play as he can. Another nuance of this position is that Conrad has the last 2 E's in the set. We continue to talk about how valuable the E's are. And wow, okay. Conrad plays Bosk, keeping his E's to try to maximize his chances of bingoing, and Adegboyega blocking that spot as predicted by playing Quinn. Oh man. So the nice thing about Bosk is it creates another spot to play, but this spot does not accommodate 7 tiles. It's not a bingo lane, which Conrad desperately needs.
Ooh, that's a good.
Ooh, Mew. Interesting. That is a very, very interesting play. What do you think of that play, Sumbul?
Definitely very interesting. I think he's trying to open up, and I think he did succeed there. Ooh.
Yeah, but it looks like he's drawn the J and Adegboyega drew the blank. So yeah, the beautiful thing about Mew in this spot is that Conrad had the last E to hook Eam in that spot. So basically, had he drawn the blank himself instead of the J, he'd probably be bingoing out to win right now. But instead, he drew the J, and he is very likely going to play something like Jade in this spot in a losing effort. So yeah, what can you do? Yardland, that's a pretty incredible find. Wow. By Adegboyega. So he is very likely to vault into the finals at this point. And, commiserations to Conrad for Yardland and Berlines going against him in quick succession. So, yeah, Conrad's going to run his time down. This was a losing effort anyway. Oh, no. Oh, right. It sets up the A as well. And that's going to do it for that game.
Wow.
Okay, we've got our 3 members. I'm getting word that Craig Beavers lost his final game. So if we cut back over to the standing screen, you can see the 2 8-2 players in first and second, and we're going to see Adegboyega join them in third place. And Craig is down to 10th. Had he defeated Ben Schoenbrunn in his final game, he would have joined the playoff as the 4th player. But instead, we're going to have 3 players as part of our playoff: Olaya Kabir, Wasim Khatri, and Adegboyega Akintokun.
Wow. Well done to all the players. And yeah, let's get ready for playoffs.
Very exciting. So we will see. It shouldn't be long now until we figure out. Hold on a second. Let me just cut back to the final game screen here, and I'll see if I have the spreadsheet of the finals, which I'm sure. I mean, we basically know that the players are going to play each other in succession. So here, let's go back to the standing screen, and we'll wait for that final result to come in. So basically, we're going to have 3 games. The games will be Olaya Kabir versus Wasim Khatri, Olaya Kabir versus Adegboyega, and Adegboyega versus Wasim. And when all those players, so each of those 3 players will play the other 2, and we're going to see where we're at the end of that. And spread will be the tiebreaker. If all 3 of those players win 1 game and lose 1 game, the tiebreaker will be that plus next to the records that they've compiled, which that is spread. That's just the margin of victory that each player has compiled over the course of these events. Sumbul, do you have any thoughts about spread as a tiebreaker? Do you favor that as a tiebreaker? What would your opinion be?
I think I won't say I favor it, but I think it's good to have it there, because if he only did it on wins, then it would be like no one winning, because you would always have someone on the same number of wins, or in some cases, in some very rare cases, you might have someone just having a clean tournament and winning all the games. So I think spread is a good way to judge who should be winning, who shouldn't be winning, because if they're winning by big margins, it simply means that they do have the knowledge, they do have the strategy in place to do that.
Yeah, it's there are players that do not like spread as a tiebreaker, and the reasoning is simply that it creates these difficult situations in games where at the end of a game, you were talking about this earlier, sometimes you have to weigh like a 1% chance. You may have a 1% chance of winning a game, but in those 99% where you don't win the game, you work out considerably worse on spread afterwards, right? So you take your chance to win a game, you have 1% chance to win it, you don't succeed, and you lose, let's say, by 100 more points than you would have had you just packed it in, accepted the loss, and moved on, right? So it creates these situations where you have to consider whether or not you want to win a game sometimes, and people don't love that. But I do think in general, I do like it because it does reward the players who are maximizing every last turn, who are playing every game to the last second on the clock to get as many points as they can and win by as much as they can. And by the same token, the players that don't give up in the games where they're getting beaten badly and try their best to narrow the gap. I do feel that is reasonable to reward that type of effort as well. So I see both sides of it. But basically, we use it as a tiebreaker. But in this case, it's actually most tournaments like this would just end right now with Adegboyega as the winner. So the fact that we even have a playoff is kind of nice because it's sort of goes beyond the tiebreaker of spread and lets the players decide themselves. If any of these three players can win their next two games, they'll be the winner.
They'll be the winner. Yeah, I completely agree.
So I think we're basically just, I think we're going to try to bring everyone each of the three games in succession. And I'm seeing that it's going to be 3 versus 2 to begin. So that's going to be Olaya versus Wasim. So we'll be ready for that as soon as it begins. Definitely want to catch these games every last minute. So let me see if I can, hold on. Let me get this round 10. It's playoff round 1. It's no longer round 10, and it's technically not round 11 either. So, okay, I think, yeah, it's going to be, the schedule is going to be Olaya versus Wasim. And then if we just, it will be Wasim versus Adegboyega, and then Adegboyega versus Olaya.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of ways that this could turn out, and basically each of the three players is gunning for winning twice. If you can just win 2 times, that should do it for you. So we will await the start of those games. Let me make sure that we don't catch so much as a second of the time, hopefully. It's very, very exciting, this format. It's been crazy. I mean, I haven't really done a tournament with these time controls. What do you think, Sumbul?
I think this is my first one as well. Like commentating on a speed Scrabble, I thought it would be tricky, and it was, but I think at the same time it's mind-boggling. It's like, wow, you get to see so much in so little time. We have done 10 games in what we would have done usually in about nearly 10 hours.
Absolutely.
We have done them in 2 or 3 hours. So
we're just passing. So we went live a little bit more than 3 hours ago, and we've played 10 rounds of Scrabble, and we're going to get 3 more. So 13 rounds of Scrabble in probably what's going to be, I don't know, a little bit less than 4 hours. That's pretty good value, but I have to admit there are situations when I would have wished that there was a little more time to dive into the complexities of a position. But I have enjoyed it a great deal. And hopefully everybody across all of our platforms that are watching are enjoying it. I have to say I haven't been as on the ball with following the Facebook chat. I'm sorry if doesn't look like there's been a ton there, but hopefully people are congregating on at least some of the platforms to talk about the games and enjoy the coverage.
Twitch is probably the most famous one, so
sure,
that's good. And people who are playing tomorrow as well. So
that's right.
I'm quite excited for that too. And of course, that is not speed Scrabble, so totally different to what we have experienced today.
Yes. Tomorrow is okay. The players are going to confirm in the chat that they are ready to roll, I think. And I think first off, I would see that Wasim is ready, and I think just waiting for the go-ahead from Olaya. And
Wasim,
we'll be off to the races. 2 excellent players, Olaya from Nigeria, Wasim from Pakistan. Again, a truly global game that Scrabble has become. We did see lots of strong players from the UK and from the United States, really, really high up in the standings. But we have 3 players. I think, it's true, Adegboyega, also Nigerian player? Do we...
Give me a minute.
Okay, yeah, and I think that's true. I'd love to know more about his backstory for sure, because very, very impressive result here for him.
Definitely. I was just going to say hats off to Wasim. It's nearly 3 in the morning in Pakistan, and he's wow, hats off to him.
It seems like Wasim is such a Scrabble. He is just so committed to Scrabble that he is playing all these online events and doing great. And he's just willing to play everything. He just loves to play, which I love to see that. So the players are going to be getting underway momentarily. I see that both have confirmed that they are ready and ready to start in the chat. It's possible that they're waiting for Adegboyega to also confirm that he understands the playoff format, which he has not done yet.
I think it might be his internet as well. I think they might ask him to check.
Issue. Let me just get him on my list. I think he's still available online. It says idle. So I think as soon as he gives the go-ahead, we will start up our playoffs. And hopefully that happens soon. Maybe they're trying to message him privately just to confirm.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, I was going to say more about tomorrow's event. There's going to be basically a main event. This is sort of as exciting as this has been. We're sort of designating this the Speed Scrabble event, and then the main event where the time controls, I believe, are 15 minutes to a side. That is more customary for online play. It gives the players a lot more time to work with, 10 more minutes per side to work with than we're seeing in these games. And it gives the commentators a little more time as well to dive into the nuances of each game. So basically, because Mind Sports Olympiad consists of so many games, Scrabble can't get all of the spotlight. But what we will do, the players have started. And, very quickly, we see Wasim, Rockstar 11 in the blue tiles, Black Knight, Olaya Kabir in the red. But just to finish my point, as we see Vax be played, blocking Orthian, I believe in 2 spots, or no, just the one. Oh yeah, in 2, both spots. So a 7-letter bingo on Wasim's rack was just blocked in 2 different spots. Orthian would have played in either spot overlapping Kat. But anyway, as we wait for Wasim's play, we will be tuning into tomorrow's main event for the last few rounds. I believe rounds 9 through 12. So we will be bringing you the climactic latter third of that event tomorrow after a short break in play. Nice play by Wasim of Orixa for 29. I'm trying to... I think Amidals is a bingo available here for Olaya that he should be able to play right there with Katz. And there it is. And just like that, we see a bingo for Olaya, and another one is about to come down for Wasim. He has, at the very least, he can play Thanes in that spot for 73. It's possible he has something better. So maybe we're headed towards a really exciting game here. Thanes would be much better in this spot, of course. 88 points. Either positioning does open up a triple lane. Oh my gosh! I think
wow.
Do you see what's here, Sumbul?
I do. Wow.
Oh man, this is a very, very exciting start to this game, and here you see a word that aggravates a lot of the critics of the International Dictionary. Incredible vowel-only word of evovi, I believe, or however you would say that. It's some kind of an ancient cry of distress or joy or something like that. But that is an unbelievable play by Olaya. And another bingo. Oh my god.
Whoa!
Okay, so Evovize is played. Wasim responding with Soda List and that with the first blank. And Olaya getting the second blank down with rotation. I'm not sure we've seen a triple or a 9-timer, as we call it, have been played yet. But that rotation hit both triple word scores and scored 122 points. So an incredible back and forth game so far. A ton of bingos. Just look at the board with these players and their word knowledge, the bingos that have been played. This is the sort of game that you see at this level. 5 bingos on the board. But even after a triple by Olaya, he's still up by not enough to feel really comfortable. He's only up right now by 41 points, even after a 122-point play. Very exciting. Sumbul, any thoughts on... Oh, nice play of Belfry. That looks pretty good.
Yeah, I was about to say that Wasim played AIA, leaving a pretty, I would say, not a healthy leave, but that was good enough for a bingo, and he drew the Y. So now I think it's going to get back and forth for a while until we get someone who's probably going to take a lead. That's my judgment.
For sure. No, I totally agree. So there's a big double-double here if Olaya sees it. Oops, sorry. Hold on. He could play this right here for 56 chignons, I guess. Okay, and it looks like it evaded his notice, or he wanted to keep the S. It seems like a few too many points to give up, but keeping that S. So if you look at the unseen tiles at the bottom of your screen, that is from Wasim's perspective right now. There's only one S left, but we know that Olaya has it. So this spot with Soda List, given that both blanks have already been played, you see them right here.
Yeah.
That's a huge spot available, and it gets blocked. So Faunier, a nice play there by Wasim to give to get a solid score with his F and W, and also block that S of Soda List. Though I don't think that's why he played that. I think he just wanted to burn.
Because it opens up the E as well. So
yes, that's true.
E and the R, of course. But yeah, I think. Ooh,
so this is a very good situation here for Olaya. Olaya has the last S. He also has the Z, which are, looking at the unseen tiles, those are the two best tiles left in the set. But pretty good tiles here for Wasim. He has to figure out how to get a bingo down here. Unfortunately, I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing that he has a way to do it now, but his tiles are pretty good. Ooh, he plays Ped, which is a very interesting idea. He might have been trying to draw that last S and play Sped with it, but now I think Olaya is going to play Zooks and Sped and just go up by too much here. This looks like this could be a game-winning type play if he just goes up by well over 100 points by playing Zooks here. And there it is. We see it. However, all right, Wasim has Centile, and that creates a kind of interesting situation. When Wasim played Centile, there were 8 tiles in the bag, which means, theoretically, he could draw a second bingo out of the bag and bingo again to win the game here. And it's possible. There's definitely some words that can go down here. Maybe. I think there are. In this situation, Will, would you try to score if you're in Olaya's situation? Would you try to score, or would you think about what Wasim would have? In a game where I had time, I would absolutely be looking at the tiles left, and I would be iterating as much as possible. What things can he have through the N? What things can he have through the I? What things can he have anything with overlaps here? What things can he have through the T? Right? So you're looking through as many of those possibilities as you can. But in a game like this of Speed Scrabble, there's no time for that. So he's going to have to make his best guess. And to me, my best guess would be to block this area of the board. I would do that. And instead, he plays just Jew up top for 45, going for the outrun. If there had been something available to this end, that might have been a losing play. Maybe not. Well, it would have been really close. But Jew does look like a pretty strong play. It scores 45 points. But I probably would have tried to block something in this area of the board just because you're winning anyway. Even if you score 30 fewer points than that, you have to stop bingos here. But it's all going to work out for Olaya in this first game. I don't think Wasim has anything that's going to give him a serious threat. And that doesn't mean that's very bad for Wasim, but it's not completely fatal to Wasim. I guess it depends on the spreads of each of the 3 players. So let me just go back and have a look at that. Actually, that is basically fatal to Wasim's chance.
It is. I was about to say that.
Because his spread is so much lower. So you can see going into this, Wasim had a spread of 538. I think that's so far behind the 894 of Olaya and 920 of Adegboyega that he really needed to win both of his games, and he has not accomplished that. So that's definitely good news for both Olaya and Adegboyega. So basically, in the next game, which is going to be, I think that's between, I think it's going to be between Wasim and Adegboyega. So if Adegboyega loses that game, he still can defeat Olaya in the final game. So we'll see how things play out. Definitely the pivotal game after this one is the game between Olaya and Adegboyega.
That would be something to watch.
Yes, very, very exciting stuff. So, all right, congrats to Olaya for coming out on top in this game, the first of our playoff games. And commiserations to Wasim, who I think he is still slated to play Adegboyega next game, but his chances are very grim. He can do Olaya a huge favor by winning huge, right? Because spread does matter, as we were saying. If Wasim defeats Adegboyega by a very, very large score, that could really help Olaya. So we'll see what happens.
So interesting.
Sure, the next game is going to begin very, very shortly. Our playoff round 2. Sorry, Sumbul, didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's okay. I was saying it's still in a situation where it can go either way, but I think Wasim chances are I would say now they are.
It's going to be really tough. Yeah, he has to win by an enormous amount right now.
But I think he's done a good job. Staying up at 4 a.m. and playing this, I think he might be drained as well. So well done to Wasim.
Yeah, huge props, obviously, to Wasim for just. I mean, he's been awesome. He won a really, really impressive event organized by one of the players in this tournament, Ben Schoenbrunn. That was really cool. And for anybody that's watching, I might add a little bit of a plug. If people are liking coverage of this type for Scrabble, we definitely have some channels on Twitch that are trying to bring you this type of content, and one of those is Ben Schoenbrunn's channel. You can go to twitch.tv/Benji Scrabble with no E, BNJY Scrabble, and he's putting together awesome online events all the time. So huge props to Benji. And I could plug myself as well, I suppose. I also have a Twitch channel at Wanderer15 where we're covering lots and lots of Scrabble events. So if you like online Scrabble, there are options for you to get more, even beyond this. But I'm very, very eager to see how things wrap up here. Okay, the players are off to the races for Game 2. All right, so here we are. This is between Adegboyega and Wasim. Wasim needing a huge win, blowout win, to preserve any chances that he has. And Adegboyega just looking to escape with a win here. And move on to a decisive showdown with Olaya Kabir. So Bib goes down to begin. That looks okay with 2 Bs, I think. That's a reasonable idea. Daf, the response from Wasim. Thing to know about Bib is that it not only takes an S hook, but also an E hook. Bibe. That could be a really big option for playing bingos here. The Z on Adegboyega's rack does not look like it's going to score a ton. And we see, in fact, that the Bibe hook is used to sort of block that lane now. And Wasim responding with a big play of K-Cerns for 90. So nicely done to Wasim, taking an early lead.
Yeah.
What do you think about that play of Zen by Adegboyega, Sumbul? Do you have any thoughts on that?
I'm actually not sure because I would have personally, for some reason, kept the Z in that situation, probably played it next move. I give it, if I don't have a high scoring move with like Z or the X or the J, I usually try to keep it until I get a high move. But that's just me, so
Yeah, for sure. There were a lot of ways that he could have gone there. He could have he could have played something like Zin in that spot, in the spot where Bull was played if he wanted. That creates a huge overlap for the J, but it would have kept the E to play with Zen. There were a lot of other options there. Okay, so we see Wasim probably... Okay, so Wasim definitely knows the drill here, right? He's played Hay in a very volatile spot with a lead. He has an 100-point lead, right? Creating good places to play sevens and good places to play in that area as well. Hey, I believe, is a verb in the Collins Dictionary. Why would he do that? It's because he knows for sure that he needs to win by a ton. But it does give up the Y. It gives up a Y to a Degboyega, which is the exact letter that he needed to get a bingo down.
That's true.
That's just, I mean, that's Wasim is playing the way he needs to play in order to try to get a win here. It's possible, or rather, not to get a win, but to preserve his chances of actually winning the event. He has to win huge. So I totally get why he made the play he did. But, in fact, so he drew really poorly with a bunch of vowels. He dumps a lot of them, and we're going to see a bingo go down of arrow ties, I think. Oh, sorry, we're going to see it here, I bet, with bowls.
Yes.
So that's... but now we're going to see... Wait, unrakes. Okay, so the plays are coming very quickly.
Another one?
What's that?
I said another one coming in.
Yes, another
because
one.
We can see the blank on Adegboye's rack.
Yeah. Does he? Maybe he has. I don't see any playable bit.
That's definitely not my skill level, so I.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely has great plays. He made a really good play for 40 points, opening up more action with his blank there. So that looks pretty good. Let's see. Does Wasim have anything? This rack looks pretty good. He'll definitely be apt to play something. Well, I don't know. Maybe again, he could have opted to leave that open if he really wanted to go for, like we've been saying, that big win and just hope that somehow Adegboyega doesn't play there. So now I'm pretty sure we'll see a bingo here of something like up darted. I think that's likely to be played. There it is, very quickly. So up darted for Adegboyega gives him a slight lead. Wasim,
great pick for Wasim.
Wasim with one or two too many vowels and one too many V's here. So he'll be able to use some of those letters up, but it's very dicey here for him because if Adegboyega drew something nice on his post bingo draw after up darted, he could put the game away. So he plays vital there, sort of leaving a lot of stuff open and leaving the best set of letters over for bingoing that he could on his next turn. But I'm sure we're going to see something high scoring through this U. Okay, we see just Ju, GJU. I think that's a very archaic word for, I think, like a jug, some kind of water container, I believe. Somebody fact check me on that on Twitch or Facebook or something. Or maybe not. Maybe I'm thinking of just the anagram of it, of jug. Who knows? Again, definitions, not as important. Okay, so Villiago is played. Wasim, that looks like a play. It's only 12 points. I think he's made that play to go as hard as he can for the second blank, which you see on the unseen tiles at the bottom, is still yet to be drawn. If Wasim is able to draw that blank, he can sneak ahead in this game by bingoing. But he has not drawn it, and instead, Adegboyega goes up by a little bit more than 70 points. So Wasim's rack, very poor here. Too many ugly vowels. But there's still a chance for him here. Adegboyega's drawn the Q, which doesn't go anywhere very good on this board. He can just dump it right here, which looks like a great way to also block this lane. It won't be available. So simply just plopping the X down right there could be a good idea.
I would simply play QI.
I meant the Q. Point. I meant the Q. Yeah, to simply. Sorry, you're totally right. Simply plopping the Q down in that spot. I said X, but I meant Q. Totally, absolutely agreed. So that's, I mean, just looking at this board. Okay, so oh my gosh, he plays pre-mix, putting a P out in the triple lane, which is basically the only way he can lose the game. So Wasim plays Gadrun. That's interesting because maybe from his perspective, it would have been better to not bingo and just hope to hit that P, right? Because what if Adegboyega has a better Q play somewhere else and just says, well, it's not that likely that he hits the P. I'll just play the Q, and then Wasim triples out to win the game. That was a possibility. I don't think Wasim can really ever win after Gadrun. So, but again, this is a speed game. There's not a ton of time to calculate. So I totally get it on that basis. And this game is going to go to Adegboyega. So Wasim getting into the playoff. Excellent job to Wasim Kadri. Has been doing an amazing job in online events lately. But he is out of contention now to win the event. And it's all going to come down to the final playoff round between Adegboyega, Akintokun, and Olaya Kabir. Exciting,
very interesting to watch.
Exciting stuff, and I'm sure it's going to start right away.
Mm-hmm. No, I was just wondering. To be honest, thank you to all the people who are arranging these tournaments and making sure that the Scrabble community is still connecting. So you mentioned earlier that you have a Twitch channel. Ben has a Twitch channel. So all of these people, like, you guys are doing such an amazing job to have these tournaments and keep us all connected. Because as Scrabble player, like, I don't have any technical skills, so I wouldn't even try at all. But thank you to you guys for having these tournaments and keeping all of us still in the game.
Well, I should just say that I haven't organized anything. Wasim saying thank you, everyone. Good night. Thank you very much to Wasim for excellent play. And once again, being a class act. Great sportsman Wasim is. So it will all come down to this final game. It's going to be playoff round 3. Let me get that organized. So the players basically, I assume, are going to start up whenever they're ready. It's going to be Olaya Kabir again versus, let me just make sure, Adegboyega Akintokun. That's right. I got it right, everybody. A Shetland viol is what the GJU was. So I guess the viol is like a viola, an instrument, I assume. Yeah. So I didn't get that correct. And that is just, I'm just trying to prove that we don't really need to know the definitions. No. I would love to know I would love to know them better than I do. But again, there's just limited space in our brains. And really, we're really trying to just learn the dictionary as it's set out to us, and turn Scrabble into as pure of a strategy game as we can, right? Because Scrabble is about finding words and then picking which word you want.
Which words you want to play.
And I think most of us at the elite level of play love the decision-making that goes into picking the words to play. And while it's fun, there's a fun element, and I would never want to give up that eureka fun moment of finding words. At that elite level, you want to spend as little time as possible finding words and as much time as possible picking between the words that you see quickly, that you see as fast as you can. So, people say, how can you not know definitions and all of that stuff? And the reason is simply that we just love the feeling of playing really high level strategic Scrabble so much that we want to cram all the words into our brain, and there's not that much room left to learn what they all mean. So I know that's distasteful. And our last game is underway, and a very, very nice opening rack for Adegboyega to begin against Olaya. I assume that Ray-like, at the least, is going to go down here. And that's going to be a great, great opening play for him to start out with a bang. And there it is.
Yep.
And a much worse rack for Olaya, unfortunately for him. But we've said this a number of times, that the early deficits that look scary end up not being as scary over the course of the game. And Olaya is a really crafty, solid player. He's going to know not to get down or worry about the early deficit in this game, and he'll keep grinding. But this is not a good position for him. I don't think there's going to be a play that makes him feel great here. I'm not even seeing a play that makes me feel anything other than deep disgust for how bad the options are here.
I'm just trying to look away so you don't ask me what I'm going to play here, because it's probably going to be...
I don't know. I mean, I maybe just JEW through the E of Ray-like. I mean, there you see it. I mean, that was not what I love to play. But at a deficit, the nice thing about that play, is that it makes two spots to play bingos that can't both be blocked, because Ray-like does not take any hooks. So just geometrically, you'll see that there will be two lanes after a play like that, which helps Olaya at a deficit in the game. Obviously, this lane is very difficult to hit because it has to be a word ending in A or O. So those are not particularly likely. But Olaya gets a little ray of hope here, because Adegboyega opts to exchange. So he bingos for 86 to start, but he takes a 0 on his next rack. So that potentially gives Olaya a chance to narrow this deficit quite a bit. Again, there's not a great place to do that, but he will have options that balance his rack. He plays Kier for 29. Ooh, boy.
Ooh.
And Etesian at the very least. I'm sure there's other stuff even playable for Adegboyega, and I wonder where he's going to play it.
I think that will be a hard decision to make.
So he has, I think Kiers is a word. I don't remember whether key is just an adjective or not, but even if it's not, again, we're playing Void Challenge, so he can put that on the board and try it if he's not sure. Yeah. And even if Kiers is not a word, which again, I'm drawing a blank on whether it is, he has Etesian and U as well. Okay, so instead he plays Etesian here. The reason he plays it there is very simple. Playing it in this spot opens up a really big triple lane and then a slightly less big triple lane.
Yeah, and I think the double U's don't help here. The X does, but the double U's,
Yeah, that's true, but he is amazingly, Olaya is able to use one of his U's and his X by scoring roughly as well as Adegboyega did for his bingo. He scores 55 points with Tux. The bingo of Etesian only 64. So Olaya, even after the two bingos that Adegboyega has played, is only down by 40 or so points. That was a nice idea. Oh, there's almost some great bingos here. But I think Kagul is a great play with Hoha here. I wonder if...
Kagul?
Yeah, I think that's a word, right? Kagul for 40. There would be a...
Yeah, it is. Wow.
I think that... Clog for 37 is also...
Clog for 37 goes down as well.
Pretty good. That's a pretty good play. But we're almost sure to see another bingo happen here, definitely. Such as... just looking through the C, I bet there's something. Maybe not.
I can see the easy one, because I've memorized this by heart, I think.
From the C? Oh, go ahead.
No, not from the C, just a 7.
Oh, sure. Yes, there's definitely 7s. I can see a couple 7s available here. Okay, Cargeese. All right, I didn't see that right off the bat.
Wow.
Pretty nice play. That's very, very nice. And it puts Olaya in a major bind here as Adegboyega up by a ton of points. So the Ho-Ha hook is still available. I don't think there's anything that good here through in that spot. He may also want to leave it open. Oh, wow. So he has Adegboyega has drawn a very nice rack after his bingo, and I don't know if he has detainee through an E that isn't available. He may not actually have a bingo here.
Oh, he probably does. Oh, with the L.
Oh, yeah. Tailed, of course. I was just getting to that L. All right, so the bingos are going down fast and furious for Adegboyega here. That is
39 tiles to go.
Yeah, this is very grim here for Olaya. He's just getting, through no fault of his own, he's just getting hit with bingo after bingo. I wonder if he has a ZA play here that goes all the way across. Probably not.
He can play it with the W, so if he can play Vade or something, keeping the Z.
Sure, yeah, that could be a reasonable play for 44. If he wants to keep the Z, he may need to. There's also spots for him to do it here. He could opt to play Wiz and just hope to get an amazing play through the W. He's in major trouble here. He's down by well over 100 points, 150. So he's going to need
to take the risk now.
He's going to need he's going to have to do something way outside the box if he wants any chance to win here, which that's just the situation he's found himself in. So he plays Zoe. I think that was a reasonable idea. I think he did this because he kept the D on his rack, and he's setting up a spot for himself to potentially bingo ending in D. Hopefully if he draws a bingo that does that, he will then need more help even after that. And instead he's drawn, I think he drew BF, which is truly not what you want to see when you're trying to bingo. The B and the F already are not good tiles for bingoing, and together, especially with a W as well, not what you hope to see. No. So he plays wife down low, and Adegboyega just has to hold on to his lead. I think Maven was a very high scoring play. He may just want to close that S hook off now. I might be tempted to just play Lost here and just prevent.
Just close it off.
Yeah, just close it off. Alternatively, he can. Oh, Talents. Oh, okay. Yes, I should have taken a moment to look. So I think that's going to do it. He's up by well over 200. That word evaded my notice right off the bat. A little bit slow on my own bingo finding, but Adegboyega not at all slow. He's found them all. So
he wasn't lost at all.
No. Yeah, he was not lost, which is the play we suggested. That was very nice. I like that pun.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is for sure at this point, barring something insane, definitely going the way of Adegboyega. Pretty interesting story for sure. A player that I had not heard of coming out of nowhere to win this event. Yeah. Very, very impressive. So he's going to come out on top. And we'll just continue to watch the conclusion. He exchanges 5 in that situation. I actually wasn't sure. I didn't see what he had. But great performance, obviously, by Olaya to get so far. We've seen him a couple times on the stream. And another bingo is about to go down here. I don't know. How many is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
6.
The 6th bingo, I'm sure, of Turnian is about to go down here. Underneath Bird, and that's really amazing by any standard. That is quite an amazing performance and effort.
I think he was playing in a very tough field as well, so if you take that into consideration, he's done well. I hope we can interview him either today or tomorrow and see if he can tell us more about how he felt.
For sure, yeah. I wonder if we know, is he competing tomorrow as well? I would love to.
Probably. Let me just quickly ask Chris.
Yeah, if we can get that info, that would be cool to see. It'd be good to know. But But yeah, he is up now by an even 200 points in this game. So definitely this late in the game, you know you're going to win when you're up by that much. It's just playing out the string here for Olaya, who, again, great performance by him to make his way into the finals and force a decisive game. And just, I mean, I don't really take issue with any of the plays that he made.
Yeah.
Just when your opponent gets 6 bingos against you, there's often not a lot that you
can do.
So,
like I said, it could be one of those moments where you might see me crying because there was nothing I could have done.
Yeah, Scrabble will do that to you for sure.
It will, definitely will.
But Adegboyega is definitely not crying here, as he's going to come out on top. His rack is very poor, but that doesn't matter when you're up by over 200 points. Yeah. So
you should be fine.
Very nicely done. As we watch, and yes, confirmation is that he will be playing tomorrow as well.
That'll be good to watch.
Yeah, for sure. So that's exciting to see how well he'll do tomorrow as well. So yeah, not sure if an interview is in the offing for today. Maybe, I mean, we are running a little bit behind what was expected on the calendar for this. We had 3 hours earmarked, and we're just cresting into hour 4. So maybe if we can catch up with him tomorrow.
Yeah.
That would be nice. But very, very strong effort by our 3 playoff finalists, and our winner is going to be Adegboyega Akinto-kun, which I think I will need to get a primer on how to say that accurately. I think I'm doing okay, but I'd love to hear it from somebody that knows better than me.
I think you're doing well.
Thank you. As we see Sculp go out as the outplay, and there you have it.
Well done.
So if we go back to the standing screen, that's not it. If we go back to this, you see that he was in first place at the conclusion of the main event, and he won both of his 2 games in the playoff to become the Mind Sports Olympiad Speed Scrabble champion for 2020. So congratulations to him and to all of our players, to our finalists, and lots of great games on the stream. Seeing Chris Harrison, our event organizer and co-director, along with Wayne Kelly, thank you so much to both of those guys for running an excellent event. He is giving out the quote-unquote medals right now to Adegboyega and to Olaya. And with that, I think we can call it a stream here.
Yes.
So that was a lot of fun. Sumbul, thank you so much for...
Thank you so much, Will.
My pleasure. And we'll be seeing everybody tomorrow.
Thank you for joining us, everybody.
That's right. Thanks
It's good to have you.
For sure. Thanks to all who watched on all different platforms. And I'm hoping that there were some people from non-Scrabble backgrounds that watched the stream and found it enjoyable. We'd love to hear that. It would make us really happy to know that there were some people like that out there. But even if we just had mostly Scrabble players, thank you everybody for watching. And we'll be seeing you guys tomorrow just look on social media for the times of the event. We're going to be coming in at rounds 9 through 12, the latter third. So that's going to be, I think, roughly the same, maybe an hour later than today, a half hour later than today. It's going to be very, very similar timing tomorrow to today's stream. So look for us tomorrow for the conclusion of the main event of Mind Sports Olympiad Scrabble. And with that, I think we're going to sign off. So thanks everybody for watching, and catch you later.
Take care. Bye-bye.